my channel. This is episode 8. First thing as always, thank you to those of you that have subscribed to my channel. If you are new, your names will go up over here. And thank you to those of you that have been following and supporting me on the forum. Recognition goes over here. Now I have 3 notifications before we start. The first one is my gas blowback pistol has no mag in it, so it won't fire. And my 2 AEGs to the side have no batteries in them. The second one is I have 2 packages on their way to me. Fingers crossed, hopefully I'll get them this week so I can use them for next week's episode. If not, then obviously I'll have a backup ready to go, so just bear that in mind. The third one is there's probably going to be a lot of editing in here, so just bear that in mind because I've got quite a few sites to cover here. Other than that, let's get straight into the video. So I looked through my notes and I was quite surprised. It's now 4 years, 2020, and yes, it's not the best year, but at least I've got a few games in. But I looked through and I thought I've only been to 3-4 sites. It turns out I've actually been to 10 sites, so I'm going to try and go through them quickly as I can. Number 1, Xsite Airsoft. Now I've got the board behind me, so it helps whilst I'm looking into the camera. So I've got an expired card from them, souvenir of the past. Would I recommend that site? Yes. Great site, great marshals, great players, great food. Consideration, there were so many thorns, so many bushes and so many stinger nettles that it was quite difficult to maneuver. But other than that, great site. I'll give it 4 out of 5. The only sad thing is it's no longer there. For whatever reason, they got purchased by another company or sold off the land. So yeah, that was quite tragic. Now we're moving into 2018. So my second site, Ambush Adventures Eversley. Again, another site from the past. Your card. Again, great site, great players, great marshals, great food. /that food. Yes and no with the food. So I'm going to put that as a con actually. So we've got 2 cons straight away. So the first one is the food. You get a meal deal, and that sounds great, don't get me wrong, but if you've only got a few good ones, it's kind of unfair for those that want a good one. So if you're at the front of the line, first come, first serve. If you're midway through the line, you get 50-50. If you're at the end, you get the scraps. So yeah, that's one consideration. The second one is you could only move 20 meters on certain games to the sides, and that would always get broken or stop the game or stop people from trying to ambush people. So it had its pros and cons for that challenge, but I didn't see it working as well. But other than that, I'll give the site 4 out of 5. Let's see. The third site, Legion Airsoft. Great site, great players, great marshals, great food. The only consideration was the fact that you never put your airsoft players next to paintball players on the same map. That only happened once or twice, but other than that, that was the only consideration. 4 out of 5 there. On to the next site, number 4, Xsite Outpost. So they had another site. This was the first CQB site that I went to. Had a really great time. So what can I say about it? Great site, great marshals, great players, great food. Domino's is always a win in my book. The only consideration is travelling there and back because it is a long journey, so petrol money. Would I go back? Because I've only been once? Yes, I would, but I might go with some of my other friends. Number 5. Now this one goes into 2019 as well. Absolute Airsoft. Now this is a great site for me. This is a 50-50 site. You're either going to have a really good day or an average bad day. Now the pros are it's a great site. It has big terrain and everything. And it has great food. Obviously, you have to pay an extra $5 for a pizza upgrade, so that's acceptable, I suppose, if you've got the money. But there's more cons than pros. So the first one is getting there and back. The second one is chrono. Now the third one is a pro and a con, players. So many players go there, but unfortunately, you get more bad than good players there. Now this is from my experience of 2018 to 2019, so bear that in mind. So what else was there? Players, marshals. I've mentioned this all in my past video. If you haven't checked it out. Marshals not doing their jobs efficiently enough, and generally speaking, there was a lot of stalling, waiting around, trying to get people organised. Yeah, it's a shame really, because I'm going to give it 2 out of 5. I know that site could do so much better if they put the time and effort into it, but that's just my personal opinion. I might get some dislikes for that, but again, I'm just being genuinely honest, and that's the best way to be. Number 6, Ambush Adventures Alton. So like Xsite Woodland, it closed down. Same thing here with Ambush Adventures in Eversley. They got purchased out by Gunman Eversley, and I will talk about that later on. So pretty much like the pros back then. It is a great site. There were some good players, but there were more cons. Again, meal deal foods. What else was there? Getting there and back. What else was there? Getting up the little hill. Not the easiest terrain to get to the car park. Some bad players there, cheating regularly, which didn't help. And there was one case actually where they were 2 players that were close to fighting each other. Thankfully that was dealt with. I think one had to leave straight away, or they both left. I can't remember. Bear in mind when was this? 2 years ago, so don't ask me exactly what happened. But it's things like that that can make or break a day, and I had some great times there, and would I consider going back? Possibly. I say possibly, it is quite a journey. I would give this, out of my rating, what would I give this? I'll give this 3 out of 5 for stars, because I think they could do better. I don't know if they're still going or not, but who knows. 7. Now this is in 2019. Okay, so Absolute was consistent of 2018 to 2019, but now back into 2019. Falcon Apocalypse Airsoft. Now this was the first battle sim I went to, so what can I say? I'm trying to think. It's a great site, great marshals. We had great players, but here's where the cons come in. It was a bad day, weather-wise. It was very windy. Travelling there and back, we had a few cheaters. It was more of a skirmish than an actual battle sim, so that was a major letdown for what we paid for. Would I consider going back though? There's a few more cons really for that one, so let me get through it. Parking in a mud park doesn't help because I nearly got stuck. Is there anything else? No, but I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 because I think honestly if they put a little bit more time and effort into that site, then yeah, I think it would be great. So moving on to number 8, I believe. Yes, in 2019. Number 8, The School. Okay, what can I say about it? I looked at it on YouTube and it looked great. I wanted to get more into CQB. So the site is great, easy enough to travel to. Great food, great players, no cheaters as far as I went on the day. No, actually scrap that. There were good players, because now I'm going to get into the cons. The cons were, it was nothing like it was on YouTube. They restricted a lot of the CQB, which was kind of why we went there in the first place. They did have a little bit of a woodland site, but we were not really interested in that. We went for the CQB with my friends. And I don't know. They just took too many people into the CQB site, so it was overpacked. And we shot a bunch of players that weren't taking their hits, so that's cheating. And at one point we were that bored that Cronky and me, we just sat down looking in a room, looking at all like the loose things that could be shot off, and we just went bang, bang, bang all over the room because we were that bored for 5-10 minutes. And then we were just like, you know what, game over. So the School, I'm going to give 3 out of 5. I honestly think if they put a bit more effort into their CQB side again, this is my own personal opinion, yeah, I would definitely go back. But for now, maybe consider it. Number 9, Gunman Eversley. Now, I only went once. This was kind of a reunion thing. I mentioned it in my last video with sneaking and whatnot. So, essentially, Gunman Eversley took over from Ambush Adventures Eversley. And, yeah, great site, great players, great marshals, but it just felt, here's the con, it was a bit bland. I mean, a lot of the barriers, buildings and whatnot were taken away by the original lot, I suppose, and the other ones really didn't put enough in. So I'm going to give it 3.5, being honest. If they put a little bit more construction of obstacles and stuff in there, I would consider going back. And lastly, number 10, Red Alert from 2019 to 2020. I've mentioned in my past video the memories. A great site, great marshals, great players, great food. They had, well, I've very rarely seen a cheater or had a problem. Again, I mentioned this before, so highly recommend Red Alert at the moment because that's where I am. And yeah, that's it. I've covered those 10 sites. Yeah, what can I say? Yeah, I tried to get through this video as quickly as I could. That is it now. What can I say? Next week's episode, fingers crossed, I don't want to spoil it, but hopefully it will arrive. If not, I have a backup. So it's kind of a mystery actually for next week's episode, so you've got to wait until then to find out what is next. Other than that, what else can I say? Oh yeah, like, comment, share and subscribe. Don't forget to click the little bell icon so you get updated. And yeah, I had fun making this episode. I enjoyed it and I look forward to making the next one. Hopefully, until next time, stay safe.